I grew up in Brampton, Ontario, and my family's background is Jamaican, so there's a lot of culture that comes into that as well. When I was in elementary school, my family moved, and because we moved, I had to change schools. So that was going into grade 4, and when I went into that school, I was one of 5 black students at the school, and the school went from kindergarten to grade 6, I believe, at the time. So to my knowledge, or at least from the older grades, I don't know necessarily about the kindergarteners, but in the older grades, I was one of 5. So it's hard to not notice at that point when, it's more, I noticed when there was someone else who looked like me. Um, and I started counting. So um, I think that's probably the earliest memory that I can think of really noticing that difference and actually thinking about it. Yeah, I was definitely looking at magazines, just, different style things. I don't think that I was heavily engrossed in it for the standard of beauty component. I was more looking at it from the entertainment style side of it. There were certain artists or groups or actors that I enjoyed listening to or watching or just looking at. So that was kind of where I was with those things, and of course watching TV and taking those things in. But I wasn't, to my knowledge and my awareness, I wasn't really focused on, do I look like that person? But just kind of staying on top of what sorts of things might be in style and just generally informed fashion wise. That's a very interesting question for me. I think growing up, some of those came from, even as odd as it may seem, compliments that I would receive. So, for example, when I was growing up, my hair was very long. Right now, I'm wearing it short, but even that has been a statement for me in the last couple of years that the length of my hair doesn't define my beauty. But growing up, I would constantly receive compliments on how my hair looked and the fact that even it looked like I was mixed race because of the texture of my hair. So things like that I kind of cataloged as being, oh, that means I'm beautiful, or that's part of my beauty. Um, they came from all around. So they came from family members, people in the community, other young women, men, like it just depending on where I was at what stage of life, I would constantly get those type of comments. I think it was equal. I think especially because a lot of my cultural background infused into my life in Brampton. The church I grew up in was heavily Caribbean. Just so a lot of people around me uh, were from the Caribbean. But even so, outside of that, people would notice that, again, oddly enough, my hair, but this time on my head, was. They would say it's really pretty, or it's really long, or Jamaicans would say it's tall, and um, it would just come from all around.